The first qualifying session of the season got underway in the sunny city of Melbourne, and it was Kevin Magnussen who got pole position at the circuit where he won his debut race for Renault last season. He beat Carlos Sainz by 0.2 of a second, with the Spaniard lining up in second. Jenson Button qualified next in third position with Jolyon Palmer alongside him in fourth, but a 5-place grid penalty that he received in practice means that he will be demoted down to ninth. It was a disappointing qualifying session for the two Force Indias, as Nico Hülkenberg was only able to qualify 7th place on the grid. It was a much better result, however, than his Season 2 World Champion teammate Hayden Gullis, who was surprisingly knocked out of Q1 and could only manage to qualify 17th on the grid. The Force India driver said after the session that he was held up a lot during his lap, but is looking forward to working his way back to the front of the field in today's race. Daniel Ricciardo was the only driver of the 4 big teams to qualify in the top 10. As all those 4 teams' struggles look to continue as the season goes on. That's it then for the qualifying roundup. Next up is the Australian Grand Prix. What is up, people, and welcome back to part 64 of my F1 2016 career mode here today at the Australian Grand Prix. I hope you guys like the new format of this career mode. This is certainly going to continue over the rest of the seasons, but we are here today at the Australian Grand Prix, the start of season 4, and it's not been the best of the starts to the season for ourselves, qualifying down in 17th place, so very, very disappointing, but it is a new beginning, and a lot more teams are going to be involved in this championship battle, so hopefully it's not going to be just me and Carlos Sainz batting out for the championship. There's Kimi Raikkonen lining up in 12th position, not the best of qualifying for the 2 Ferrari drivers. Kevin Magnussen, though, he lines up in pole position. He'll be looking to get 2 race wins in a row today. So let's take a look at the starting grid ahead of today's Australian Grand Prix. Kevin Magnussen lines up in pole position at the track where he won his first ever race last season, and he has the Season 3 World Champion Carlos Sainz lining up alongside him. On the second row, it's Jenson Button, who qualified in 3rd position, with Pascal Wehrlein gaining from Jolyon Palmer's penalty, moving him up into 4th place. The second Toro Rosso of Danny Kvyat lines up in 5th, with Nico Hülkenberg, the best of the Force Indias, qualifying down in 6th place. Not a good day for the Force India team in qualifying. Rio Haryanto lines up in 7th place on the grid, and he has Fernando Alonso for company on row 4. Jolyon Palmer's mistake in practice means that he'll be starting down in 9th position on the grid. He has Daniel Ricciardo, the only driver of the top 4 teams to actually get into the top 10 for today's race, showing that all those teams are really struggling in this season of career mode. Lining up on the 6th row and missing out on the top 10 is Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen. It'll be a disappointment for those 2 drivers, but they'll be looking to make their way back up through the field, especially as they have the strategy on the rest of the guys ahead of them. On row 7, it's Romain Grosjean, who is lined up alongside Max Verstappen, with Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas right behind those 2. Then it's myself lining up in 17th place. Not a good qualifying session from me yesterday, but I'll be looking to work my way back up through the field and try and get a good result today. Alongside me is Esteban Gutierrez, who lines up in 18th position. Then it's Felipe Massa and Nico Rosberg on the 10th row, lining up in 19th and 20th, with the 2 Saubers right at the back of the field, 21st and 22nd. That's the starting grid for today's Australian Grand Prix, so without any further ado, let's get on with today's race. Here is the race strategy then for today's race. So starting on the soft tyres and then pitting for the mediums on lap 12. And I think this is a good strategy to go for. We're not particularly that fast around this Australian Grand Prix, so doing a one-stop strategy is the best way to try and work our way back up through the field and see if we can try and get a top 5 finish, maybe even onto the podium. We're going to put on a lot of fuel because we are right at the back of the field, so you do want to run in rich mix at the start to try and gain as many positions as we possibly can. But here we are for the formation lap. We're just going to head around the circuit, but the goal for turn 1 is just going to be trying to keep it really nice and clean. We're right down the back of the field. We've got a lot of drivers ahead of us. If there's a collision happening amongst those guys, then we can certainly get past them and try and get a few positions down towards turn 1 and into turn 3 as well, because there is a long run down to turn 3 too. So that is the goal for the start of the race. But for now, let's head back to the starting grid. Here we are then on the grid for the start of Season 4. The lights coming on. It's 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for today's race. And it's a good start compared to Valtteri Bottas in the Williams and Max Verstappen in the Red Bull as well, going down in towards turn 1. Can we pick a gap? Not quite. Max Verstappen just blocks us on the inside. We make sure that we give Valtteri Bottas room as well, going down in towards turn 1. We have actually gained a position, moving up into P16, going down in towards turn 3 now. Can we look up the inside of any of these drivers? Yes, we do. Up the inside of Max Verstappen. Can we sneak it up the inside of Lewis Hamilton as well? Not quite. He squeezes out on the outside of turn 4, nearly going into his rear right tyre. but just about being able to fit through and holding on to P15 in today's race. We've gained 2 positions already, and we'll be looking to work our way through the field still, as Lewis Hamilton is the guy just ahead of us as we go through Sector 1 right now. The end of Sector 1 has been a very clean first sector. No collisions so far in this race from actually anybody in the whole entire field, which is really, really nice to see as we go in towards this long, flat out sort of left-hander down in towards the chicane. And here we are on board my teammate now, Nico Hulkenberg, going down through the chicane. He's right behind a Toro Rosso, which I believe is Danny Kvyat, and also the manner of Pascal Wehrlein as well. As he goes down in towards this right hand, it's free wide into the corner. There's a little bit of contact between the 3 drivers, but it looks like Nico Hulkenberg just about manages to squeeze through up the inside and gains 2 positions in 1 corner. What a fantastic move by my teammate there. We've actually patched up the relationship. We are a lot better as friends this season after last season. At the end of last season, I felt was a little bit too aggressive towards the end of the season, especially as we were trying to fight for the World Championship. I thought that he was fighting us a bit too much, but we have patched up the relationship and we are friends once again. As we go up the inside there of Lewis Hamilton. He's on the outside, he's on the inside, sorry, in towards turn 2. He's still holding it on the inside, but we've just about got the power down in towards turn 3. There's a yellow flag out. Roman Grosjean has had an engine failure on lap 3 of this season. The season has got off to a bad start for the Haas team. They're already right down the back of the field in terms of development. So this is not good. And the virtual safety car has been deployed in today's race. That's going to neutralise the field. Unfortunately, it's not come out at a time where we can come into the pits because we won't be pitting till about lap 12. So we're not going to bother about coming to the pits, and I don't think any other drivers are coming into the pits either. But here we are on lap 5, catching up to the back of Daniel Ricciardo and Sebastian Vettel, who are having a little bit of a ding-dong battle going down towards turn 3. We're going to sneak it up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo now, down in towards turn 3. We actually get a position on him, not quite on Sebastian Vettel yet, but we'll be looking to try and get past him within the next couple of corners. Hopefully, we are quicker than the Ferrari driver, and it wasn't just because of that battle that was holding him up. We are still close, though, to the Ferrari driver. We cut ahead to the end of lap 7, start to lap 8, and there looks like a lot of drivers are now coming into the pits, including my teammate, of course, Nico Hulkenberg. So he is into the pits right now. And that moves us up into 2nd place in today's race with Kimi Räikkönen just ahead of us on the super soft tyres, so he will be coming into the pits as well. And here we are on the end of lap 8, start to lap 9, Kimi Räikkönen in the pits, and we move up into the lead of this Australian Grand Prix, which is exactly what we want to do. But we need to make sure that we get the strategy right and we can hold out on these soft tyres until the mediums to try. And there's been another engine failure, this time for Pascal Wehrlein on lap 10. The yellow flags are out. Not too sure whether this is going to bring out a safety car or a virtual safety car, but he's going to pull off to the left-hand side right there, and he is unfortunately out of today's race. The virtual safety car has been deployed in this Australian Grand Prix for the 2nd time in this race. It's probably good that it's a virtual safety car for us and not a normal safety car. We probably could have come into the pits at this stage of the race, but I don't think I would have been able to take the mediums till the end, so unfortunately I did not do that. But here we are on board Julian Palmer on lap 11. Oh, and he starts the back end going in towards that right hand. The yellow flags are out now for the British Renault driver, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a safety car or anything like that, but he just gets squeezed by the 2 Ferraris, who are having a little bit of a battle going down in towards that right-hander. Julian Palmer went for a gap that wasn't there at all, and unfortunately has put himself into the barriers. Looks like it's Kevin Magnussen now gaining on a Williams driver of Felipe Massa. Yellow flag out, and Felipe Massa has had a puncher in today's race. Disappointment there for the Williams driver. A lot of drama so far in the opening round of this season 4. We've had 2 engine failures, a puncher, and Julian Palmer as well hitting the barriers. So Felipe Massa is going to be driving really slowly at this stage of the race. We're about halfway through the race. We should be coming into the pits any second now, as it is our scheduled pit stop. And if a safety car or a virtual safety car could come out right now, then that'll be perfect for us as we come into our pit stop, because we will lose less time in the pit stop phase. We come into the pits now, brake before the marks, get it stopped in time, no drive-free penalties or anything like that. And we'll be coming in for our first pit stop in today's race for a new set of medium tyres, which are going to take us all the way to the end of the race. Still no virtual safety car, so it looks like Felipe Massa will be able to make it back into the pits without anybody actually crashing into the back of him. But whereabouts this is going to put us out on track, I think it's going to be 2nd place, which it is. We are currently in 2nd place at the moment in today's race. So Nico Hulkenberg being the only driver to get past us, but he still has 1 more pit stop in this race to make, which I believe he will be making it within the next couple of laps, as Nico Rosberg goes into the side of a Red Bull there. I think it might have been Max Verstappen as well. Haas goes into the back of a Red Bull there, And a lot of collisions going on. The Kvyat goes into the back of a Sauber. Sauber goes back into the back of Kvyat. So much happening because of Nico Rosberg spinning off the track. And I think that is Danny Kvyat out of today's Australian Grand Prix. We're going to need confirmation on that one, but it looks like his car was not going anywhere and he is out of today's race. It looks like there's a train behind a Red Bull, which has actually stopped on turn 3 there. I think he has got a puncher. That is usually what happens when a driver gets a puncher. He usually stops on a corner, so I think that may have been what's happened to Daniel Ricciardo. But here is Max Verstappen coming out the pits. Nico Rosberg just turns for his normal apex, turns into the side of Max Verstappen there, and unfortunately puts himself out of today's Australian, no, not out, but puts himself into a spin. And there's the collision between the Haas and the Red Bull driver, giving himself a punch, and then he gets a huge hit from behind from the Sauber of Marcus Ericsson, I believe that is. And then Gutierrez gets caught up behind Daniel Ricciardo. Even though he could have gone to the right, decides to go into the back of the Red Bull driver, push him all the way down in towards turn 3. He finally gets unhooked from the rear of the Red Bull driver going down in towards turn 3, and then Daniel Ricciardo just parks it on the outside of the corner, which is good. Usually they park it on the apex, and that causes a lot of collisions with the AI drivers, but this time Daniel Ricciardo parks it on the outside. That allows everybody up the inside through the corner, and there shouldn't be too many collisions because of that. He's on board with Danny Kvyat, and yeah, he just goes into the back of Marcus Ericsson, helps them out because it means that they are moving once again the race, but that puts him out of today's Australian Grand Prix. Disappointment at the start of the season once again for Danny Kvyat. We saw that last season in Season 3, of course, but here we are on board with Max Verstappen, not Max Verstappen, Kevin Magnussen, sorry, and he does exactly the same as what Nico Rosberg did on the previous lap. He did exactly the same as what he did, just goes for his normal apex as there's a driver coming out the pits and actually puts himself into a spin. That's going to lose him a whole lot of positions, and it doesn't look like the pole sitter is going to win today's race. Kevin Magnussen is going to be really, really disappointed with this result if he does not get any points here today. But Nico Hulkenberg currently into the pit lane. We are coming around the final corner to start lap 19, and will we be able to come out ahead of our teammate Nico Hulkenberg? I think we will just about make it down in towards turn 1, and yes we do, just ahead there of Nico Hulkenberg in today's race, which is absolutely fantastic in today's race. So we have gone from 17th on the grid, working our way up back to the lead of the race. But here we are under pressure from Nico Hulkenberg, and now I'm going to be a good teammate at this stage of the race. We do want to focus on the Constructors' Championship this season and also focus on the Drivers' Championship, but the Constructors' Championship is the main priority. Nico Hulkenberg, he's on a different strategy than me. He's on the faster tyres, and if I hold him up, that only puts him under pressure from Carlos Sainz, who is behind. So what I've done here is I've just let Nico Hulkenberg drive off into the distance. I'm going to back up Carlos Sainz as much as I possibly can, get Nico Hulkenberg the race win, and try and make it a 1-2 for Force India if that's possible. But unfortunately running a little bit wide there through turn 3, and now we're under pressure from the Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz here on lap 20. He's going through this very long left-hander, very quick. He's picking up the slipstream now and pulling over to the right-hand side. He's going to try around the outside of this right chicane. Can he hold on to the position? We're holding the inside line. We'll get the outside in towards this next corner. We're just a little bit squeezed out there by Carlos Sainz. Unfortunately, there's nowhere to go, and he gets position over us. He gets P2, but we are right on the tail of the Toro Rosso driver going through the next couple of corners and trying to pick up any sort of possible moves that we can through the next couple of corners and possibly down the start-finish DRS straight. Here we are going through the left-hander of the final couple of corners now of lap 21. And can we find a position against Carlos Sainz down into the turn 1 using the DRS, using the slipstream, but I don't think it's going to be enough against Carlos Sainz, and no, it's not. Unfortunately, we do not get a position ahead of our last season's rival, and he has unfortunately got second place away from us, and now we're coming under pressure from 4th place, Lewis Hamilton, who started way down the field as well, down on the 8th row of the grid, and there's a little bit of contact there between the two of us, and he forced us wide on the exit of the chicane. That's going to lose us position as well to Max Verstappen, dropping from 3rd down to 5th. We're going to break a little bit early into this corner, get a switchback move on Max Verstappen, put us side by side through the next corner. We get the inside line though. Will he hold it around the outside? No, he doesn't, and we take away 4th position from Max Verstappen, running on lap 24 of this Australian Grand Prix. Not long left to go, 5 laps left to go in this race, and we need to catch up to Lewis Hamilton. He has got a bit of front wing damage because of that collision that we had going into the chicane. And that could allow me to go for an overtake very, very soon. So we're right behind the Mercedes driver here on lap 26 through the fast right-hander now. And we're right on the tail using the slipstream, pulling over to the right-hand side. Can we go on the inside of the Mercedes driver? Yes, we do. A little bit of contact, wheel-to-wheel action there, but we've just about got the position and put him on the outside of the corner. That's really going to hurt him because of that front wing damage. He had to lift off the throttle to go around the outside. So that got me a little bit of a gap there to the Mercedes driver. And for now, I'm running in a podium position. But can we hold on to that here on the final lap of the race? Lewis Hamilton right on our tail at the moment. He's using the slipstream and the DRS, pulling over to the inside line in towards turn 1. We're going to brake a little bit early into this corner, get a bit of a switchback move on him like we did to Max Verstappen earlier on in the race. And now following in the slipstream using the DRS. No DRS actually for us, it's DRS for Lewis Hamilton. It's free wide down in towards turn 3. A little bit of contact once again between myself and Lewis Hamilton, but we weren't really able to avoid the contact between the three of us because we were so close going into such a tight corner that there was bound to be contact. But luckily it wasn't any damage on either of the cars, and for now we are holding on to third position. But Lewis Hamilton is going to get another opportunity down this long left-hander, so he could definitely have a chance of trying to get past us on the run down towards the chicane. So here he is, Lewis Hamilton, right on our tail on the final lap of this Australian Grand Prix, trying to get a podium here today after starting on the 8th row. We start on the 9th row, so it's been a good race for both of us. Lewis Hamilton not able to get through there, and there's contact between himself and Max Verstappen on the final lap of the race. He did so well, both of the drivers, to get a good result. There's Nico Hülkenberg. He is today's race winner for the Australian Grand Prix. A great result for my teammate, but Lewis Hamilton, disappointment for him after making that contact with Max Verstappen. But here we are coming through the final couple of corners now. It's been a great result from us, starting 17th on the grid through the final corner down towards the line, and we're going to take a podium position, third place in this Australian Grand Prix. What a race for the season 4 opener. There was so much going on. There was collisions, engine failures, punches, a battle right to the end, and we managed to come out of it with a third position after starting 17th on the grid. At track where I'm not exactly that quick at. I mean, just look at the fastest lap there, 1:27.1 compared to Nico Hülkenberg's 1:25.5. So, lot of difference between both of us in terms of one lap pace. But the one stopper worked a treat for us, and that allowed us to get third position in today's race. Going through the standings then, Nico Hülkenberg wins his, I believe that's his first ever race win in this career mode. So, great result for him with Carlos Sainz lining up in second. I finished the race in third with Fernando Alonso fourth. Lewis Hamilton gets fifth in the end after that collision with Rio Haryanto making his way up into sixth. Sebastian Vettel seventh with Kimi Raikkonen eighth. Max Verstappen down in 9th place after that collision with Lewis Hamilton at the end, stopped him from getting his 5th position, with Jenson Button starting 3rd on the grid, having a disappointing race and finishing with 1 point here today. Looking further down the field then, and Kevin Magnussen, our pole sitter, could only manage 14th place in today's race after that collision with Kimi Raikkonen, I believe. It was a disappointment there for Kevin Magnussen, finishing down in 14th place. And also a disappointing race for Daniel Ricciardo as well. He started the race in 10th place, but a free-stop strategy and that puncher meant that he's right down the back of the field in 19th, 1 lap down. Then we have our 3 drivers who did not finish today's race. Daniel Kvyat, who had that collision into the back of the Sauber of Marcus Ericsson, and then Pascal Wehrlein, who had the engine failure, as well as Romain Grosjean, who also had an engine failure as early as lap 3, so disappointment for those 3 drivers. But let's have a look at how it affects the drivers' standings. And the drivers' standings looks exactly the same as the race finishing positions. Nico Hülkenberg leads the way on 25 points with Carlos Sainz in 2nd and myself in 3rd in the championship. 10 points behind Nico Hülkenberg at this stage of the season, but there are still 20 races left to go. It's a long old season, there's a long way left to go, and anything can happen in this season. The constructors' standings, though, is an interesting one. Sahara Force India currently 40 points, leading the way in the championship after Toro Rosso only had 1 driver finishing today's race. And McLaren Honda had Fernando Alonso scoring 12 points and Jenson Button scoring only 1. So we have a 22-point lead over the rest of the field after today's race. But that is it though for today's Australian Grand Prix. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash that like button. Also subscribe to my channel for more of this career mode. I also have loads of other Formula 1 content over on my channel as well, so you can certainly go and check that out. But I will see you next time at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Until then though, it's goodbye from me.